Fox Urgent, North Korea could launch its long-range rocket within hours. That's the word we're just getting from space officials there, who say the launch window opens at 6 o'clock Eastern time here in the United States today. Intelligence officials warn the secretive regime could use the launch to cover a test to a missile, which could ultimately hit the United States. Lots of coulds in there. And the United States warns its food aid program with the nuclear nation is already in serious jeopardy. These newly released satellite photos are said to show preparations for the launch, and we're now learning a lot more about the rocket itself. For that, let's turn to the Fox Report's chief correspondent, Jonathan Hunt. So tell us about it.
Shep, what we know so far is this is a three-stage rocket. I'll get to the importance of that in a moment. We know that it has a range, if it's successful, of around 4,100 miles. From the coast of North Korea to the coast of Alaska is about 3,100 miles, so it could reach the United States. It can carry a payload, that means the weight it can carry, of around 2,200 pounds, more than enough to carry a nuclear warhead. But what we will know after the launch, and this is obviously the crucial thing, is whether it works. 3 stages: going up into the air, then the boosting phase, then getting into orbit. You need all of those for a long-range missile. It's a very big if. Remember, it took the United States 24 tests before they did it successfully. 9 of those were a complete failure, so possibly a long way to go yet.
Yeah, we won't be the only ones watching this thing either.
We certainly won't be. Obviously, U.S. officials want to learn as much as they can from this, but also watching very closely will be nations like Japan and South Korea, neighbors to North Korea, of course, but perhaps most importantly at all, Iran. And a lot of experts will tell you that a long-range missile test by the North Koreans is essentially advertising and amounts to a long-range missile test by Iran. That's why this is so important, Shep.
It's a commercial for would-be buyers. With us now, Philip Yun, the former senior advisor for North Korean policy in the Clinton administration. Philip has been to North Korea 4 times and met with the former dictator Kim Jong-il. He's now the executive director and chief operating officer at the non-government organization, the Plowshares Fund. Sir, nice to see you. What do you make of this big picture?
Good afternoon. Well, I think it's a serious issue. We've got to be concerned about what's going to be happening with this missile launch. Aside from violating UN sanctions and basically breaking an agreement with the United States that it would not do missile launches, it's pretty clear from this that North Korea is intent on trying to develop its nuclear weapons program and mating this with a delivery vehicle, a long-range missile, which again could hit the United States. When you couple that with the fact that the North Koreans have shown no problem selling missile technology or conveying some of their nuclear weapons technology, there's always a chance that it could come into the hands of a non-state actor because there's some concern about North Korean instability. So this is something we've got to deal with and deal with as soon as possible.
Along the way, the North Koreans have tried this sort of thing before, and they've been miserable failures.
Exactly. So I think the previous segment, they were talking about how this is a big deal, but there's some perspective here. It's going to take a while for North Korea to figure out how to do all of this. They've only done 3 missile tests before over the last 10 years. They've all been failures. This is the 4th one. So we do have some time to deal with this, but we want to we've got a window of opportunity in some sense to deal with it, and we better do it sooner rather than later.
We've seen a lot of things happen in recent days. The North Koreans have started letting some Western journalists in there to see some of this stuff. They're trying to show some sort of difference between Kim Jong-il and Kim the Younger, who's running the place now. Do you see differences of substance yet, and if so, what are they?
Well, let's talk about why they're doing this. I think the reason that North Korea is doing this launch, and they will do it, I have no question about it, is one for military purposes. They're intent on creating this long-range missile. This is just sort of the next stage. The second thing is that it's for internal purposes. The 100th birthday of the founder of North Korea, Kim Il-sung, who's deceased, is going to be in a few days. They have to show it's going to be a huge celebration. They're going to have to show some progress, and this is a way for the young leader, to Kim Jong-un, to show that he's consolidating power. And finally, what North Korea is doing in this circumstance is to keep the international community off balance. They want to show that and remind the United States and the international community that they can't be ignored. So this is why they're doing what they're doing right now.
Philip Yun, great insight. Appreciate it very